Hey everybody, this is Adam. This is One Man's Perspective going live tonight. It is Friday here in Denver. It's about 7 o'clock at night, and we're doing our grab a beer, talk about football. So today we got, what are we doing? Migration Brewing out of Portland, Oregon, Cannonball Northwest Red Ale. I am a bar manager in my day-to-day, so this is me testing something out, and we're going to try it tonight. So cheers, everybody. Happy Friday. It's actually really nice. I like that one. All right. So moving on. Just wanted to talk to you all about some fun events that happened this week. We had both the Champions League and Europa League quarterfinals, some cracking games, great talking points. We are now into the Champions League semifinal and Europa League semifinals that are coming up at the end of April, beginning of May. So real quick, I've got a few points I want to chat about. Let's start off with our PSG versus Man City Champions League semifinal. I mean, that is seriously going to be a cracking semifinal. I myself, as a Manchester City fan, am pumped that we made it to the semifinals because we've had so many absurd blips over the last few years under Pep, who's actually never led us to the semifinals. So that's a positive in and of itself. But I really kind of want to talk about the fact, first off, that this is kind of an interesting battle of the nouveau riche teams, PSG versus Man City. A lot of the old guard have been pissed off, with PSG, Man City, Chelsea, a few years before them, essentially being bought out by big owners who are super rich, and in and of itself, especially PSG and Man City being owned by who they're owned by, has caused a lot of controversy. In some regards, rightly so, with the old guard, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, the Liverpools, and their ownership who continuously talk a bunch of smack against PSG and Man City for their endless resources, I guess, although, their teams nonstop having, built up debt year after year after year is totally fine, apparently. So regardless, that's another topic, another day. That said, it's a battle of the nouveau riche. I mean, essentially, PSG, their project has been going on for, I want to say 12 years now, and Man City's has been going on for 11. So essentially, these are two teams that are fighting to be essentially part of the elite teams in Europe, and I think honestly are part of the elite teams in Europe. But essentially, neither of them have won the Champions League. So it will be first-time winners if they do, and honestly, kudos to them, for getting to where they are, with the resources they have and building teams that essentially will get them to fight for the big trophies every single year. So kudos to them, truly. But yeah, this will, if PSG progress, essentially this will be their second final in a row, which is an incredible achievement on their part. For City, it'll be their first final. I mean, this is only their second semifinal, so you get two teams that essentially are again fighting to be the elite teams. Fighting for this trophy in particular every single season. City have actually made the quarterfinals for many years in a row, with the exception of the one round of 16 loss to, I believe, Monaco a handful of years ago that had that stacked squad with Mbappe, Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Benjamin Mendy, and so on. But yeah, this is going to be an amazing game. To me, one of the biggest talking points is Kylian Mbappe and Neymar, two of the most exciting forwards in football, going up against a resurgent John Stones and Ruben Diaz, if that is going to be the center back partnership in the semifinal legs. What's important to recognize is last year Manchester City's Achilles heel in the Champions League, and as well as in their defense of their title in the Premier League, was their porous defense. I mean, Man City, excuse me, essentially had a defense that was not reliable, unfortunately. This season has been totally different. They have the best defense in the Premier League, have only let in 3 goals in 8 Champions League games, which in of itself is quite an achievement. So to me, it'll be interesting to see that battle, Kylian Mbappe and Neymar versus John Stones and Ruben Diaz. I mean, honestly, both teams are stacked with superstars. So to me, there's going to be a battle in the middle of the pitch. I mean, essentially, Marco Verratti, if he plays, I know he's been injured recently, but if he plays versus Kevin De Bruyne, if not the most complete midfielder in the world. I mean, you've got Phil Foden versus Kylian Mbappe, even if you want to go there in terms of young players who are essentially up and coming, not even necessarily up and coming, who are generational talents who will lead their generation, just like Messi and Ronaldo have as they come to the ends of their careers. I mean, honestly, it's going to be an incredible semifinal. For me, as a Man City fan, of course, I'm going to go with Man City, edging through. I think it'll be tighter than people think. I think they're both going to be fighting for to get to the final. City to get to their first, PSG to get back to the final they reached last year and barely lost to Bayern Munich. For me, that's going to make it a kind of a tight affair. But I think honestly, the final aggregate will be maybe something like 3-2 over 2 legs going to City. That's my prediction. But all in all, I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be an incredible semifinal. Moving on to our second semifinal in terms of the Champions League, we've got Real Madrid versus Chelsea. Interesting storylines there as well. I mean, essentially, you have the 13-time winners, most storied, Champions League team, Real Madrid, who've yet again made it to the semifinal. Kind of against all odds. I mean, they've had a very stop-start season, lots of injuries, had a very stuttered, defense of their La Liga title, although they are back in the mix. I mean, Atletico's kind of let that lead go, that's, again, a different topic. So, yeah, Real Madrid have kind of become resurgent over the last few months and are fighting in La Liga and definitely in the Champions League. So, I mean, essentially, they can never be written off. I mean, they're Real Madrid in the Champions League. I mean, even without Ronaldo, they are typically the team to beat, one of the teams to beat. And then you have them going up against Chelsea, who are, interestingly enough, I read an article about this the other day, the most present team, or the team to have reached the most semifinals of the Champions League from England. They've reached it 8 times, which bested, I think, Manchester United, who've been there 7 times. Although United has won the Champions League 3 times and Chelsea has only won it once. So you have a 13-time winner going up against a 1-time winner, which is interesting. I mean, essentially, you have the magic of Zinedine Zidane, who basically has led this particular version of Real Madrid to the semifinal again, and potentially the final if they can get past Chelsea. And honestly, I think it would be one of his greatest achievements. I mean, he's a 3-time Champions League winner with Real Madrid, the three in a row that they did a few years ago, which in and of itself was incredibly impressive. But this particular team, especially with all the injuries, not having Ronaldo, kind of a semi-imbalanced squad, a lot of, I guess, wily veterans who are still playing for the team that are putting out quality week in, week out. Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Sergio Ramos, Marcelo off and on. I mean, it's a very, I mean, and then I can't even forget, Karim Benzema, who's literally taken over the mantle from Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of his goal scoring output. I mean, so you have all those wily veterans mixed with kind of a younger group who've I think, kind of try to gel into the Real Madrid ethos. So it's been a really interesting season for them. I think, honestly, again, you can never write them out. And Zinedine Zidane is, to me, in my opinion, I think is an underrated coach and manager. But I also think that this might be his last season with Real Madrid, and he'll move on in the summer. That's kind of also my prediction. I don't know if that's true. I haven't heard any inklings really about that, but that's my thought on it. But then you also have Chelsea, who are, I think, resurgent under Thomas Tuchel, who took over, from Frank Lampard a couple months back now, and has done a remarkable job. I mean, essentially, he made their defense, much more difficult to break down. He's given them kind of more of a identity, which they've lacked under Frank Lampard. Not to talk any smack against Frank Lampard. Phenomenal player. Have a lot of respect for Frank Lampard. Will be a great coach, I think, once he gets another position. Did a great job with Derby, in the championship 2 seasons ago and 3 seasons ago. And then last season with Chelsea, he did a great job, trusting in youth and getting them into the Champions League positions. But honestly, Thomas Tuchel has done a phenomenal job in terms of getting Chelsea to have an identity, to be more of a unified unit out on the field, and he's also gotten some of the players who weren't really sparking under Frank Lampard for whatever reason, tactical or not, to start firing. Timo Werner, not as much. I still think he needs some more time, although I think he will be a great player for Chelsea for multiple years to come, just based on his output at Leipzig, RB Leipzig. But, Kai Havertz has really stepped up. Mason Mount is honestly, to me, their player of the season anyway, but he's done a phenomenal job with Mason Mount. I mean, honestly, I think the signing of Edouard Mendy as their goalkeeper to push Kepa out, who's been horrible for them. Honestly, it was a terrible investment, just never really settled. That was a masterstroke. Mendy has been phenomenal in the back. And honestly, their partnership in the center of the pitch with Jorginho and Mateo Kovacic has also been excellent, in terms of providing solidity in the back four. But yeah, honestly, Chelsea has been very resurgent, are fighting for that top 4 spot in England, currently in 5th, I believe. I think like a point behind West Ham, which, again, West Ham can't get over that one. Again, another topic, but I'm incredibly surprised on that one. But Chelsea, I think, will actually get into that 4th spot by the end of the season. But yeah, Chelsea versus Real Madrid. A lot of tactical battles there. I mean, I'll be interested to see exactly what Zinedine Zidane does with his tactics. I mean, he always kind of throws a curveball in there. I mean, who knows if he's going to throw Marcelo in there, or bring in Ferland Mendy to, kind of tame some of Chelsea's attackers. Honestly, who knows? I mean, it's an interesting battle. I don't know who's going to win this one. I mean, essentially, to me, you can never write out Real Madrid. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, Real Madrid are kind of one of those teams that are just, buck the odds. I mean, really. To me, I'm going to go with a narrow 2-legged victory for Real Madrid over Chelsea there and avoid an all-English final. I think it's going to be Man City versus Real Madrid in the final. Real Madrid is going to beat Chelsea. I'm going to go with 2-1 over the 2 legs. But yeah, I think it's going to be a Man City Real Madrid final, and we'll come back to that at a different time in terms of looking at that final when it does occur. I may or may not be right. We'll see in some time. Beginning of May, we'll find out. Let's move on. Let's talk. Well, first off, another sip. Migration, Cannonball, Red Ale. It is good. All right, guys, let's talk about the Europa League semifinals. I got some interesting games here. I mean, essentially, you've got Manchester United versus Roma and Arsenal versus Villarreal. Lots of talking points. I guess first and foremost, it would be interesting to me, and we'll see if this happens. But in reality, there is a possibility that Manchester, England, could hold both the Champions League and Europa League trophies if Manchester United and Man City win the Champions League and Europa League. That in of itself is a very interesting statistic and very interesting thought. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if that's ever happened where one city has owned both of the trophies or held both of the trophies at one time, but we'll see. That said, Manchester United versus Roma. I guess there's lots of different talking points here, but for me, I'm going to go with the fact that right now Manchester United is in second place in the Premier League. I'd say have done a really good job under Solskjaer. Like they've been a very streaky team again this year. Great games where they beat Man City. And ended their 21 game win streak. And then their draws against teams like Brighton and Newcastle, and it's they've had a very weird season. I mean, essentially they should be fighting the top teams, and they've done well against some of the top teams, but they should be dominating some of the, I guess, lesser teams, if we want to call them lesser teams, or less funded teams, if we're going to be honest. In the league, but they've struggled over the last couple of seasons, even especially under Solskjaer, doing just that, where they struggle against the lesser teams and fight well against the big teams. It's kind of a weird dichotomy, but that said, you've got Man United in second place against a Roma team that is currently in seventh, fighting for Europa League. And if we're going to be honest, they're too far out, I think, from Champions League qualification. So essentially they're fighting with I believe Napoli, Lazio right now or maybe it's Atalanta. I'm not entirely sure for the fifth and sixth spot in Serie A, which gets them into Europa League. So essentially, right now they've had not the best season domestically in Serie A. They've been streaky, but the fact that they are currently in the semifinal of the Europa League is impressive. I mean, they knocked out a very, very good Ajax team who are dominating in the Dutch league right now. So, essentially it'll be a tight game, I think, very, very difficult. I mean, Man United, have lately stepped up in big games. So, I mean, I think that they'll probably do that again. Roma is a tough team. I mean, it's an Italian team. In and of itself, their defense is going to be tight just because that's Serie A in general. But they also have a very good offense. So, I mean, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, essentially, I like to see Edin Dzeko honestly score the winner against them just, for, nostalgia purposes, him being a former Man City striker. But honestly, it'll be interesting to see how United lines up, how Roma lines up. Obviously, injuries are going to play a part as they always do, and have especially this season. But yeah, I mean, this also represents an opportunity for Manchester United to finally win a trophy under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, which they have yet to do. They've reached multiple semifinals over the last couple seasons with him, but have never actually won a trophy. So this represents an opportunity for them to get their first trophy. And honestly, I am giving United the nod, unfortunately, as a Man City fan. It pains me to say this, but the nod to get to the Europa League final here over Roma, I think is probably going to be more of a higher scoring affair, honestly, over the two legs. I think it'll probably be something like 4-3 or something like that. It'll be tight. I mean, Roma is a good team, but I think United have it in their bag to get to the final there. Then you have Arsenal versus Villarreal in the other Europa League semifinal. There's a lot to talk about here. I mean, Villarreal is where Unai Emery landed after he was, I don't want to say kind of cruelly, thrown out by Arsenal. Although I will say never really did him any justice. Didn't really give him the support that he needed. Honestly, like I mean, he asked so much and so much, for transfers that he never really was given funds for. Essentially, had to deal with a squad that was incredibly unbalanced and honestly just really not up to par, even for Arsenal standards. I mean, he had obviously a very big reputation coming from the Sevilla, teams where they won the Europa League multiple times, where he did a phenomenal job with a great Sevilla teams plural, who to me is a great club in La Liga. I like Sevilla quite a bit. A lot of respect for them and their academy, especially. And he did a great job with them as a very, again, not heavily funded squad to reach the Europa League final multiple years and win it multiple years. Then moving on to PSG, which, I mean, he was successful to a degree at PSG, never really in the Champions League, successful there. Won, Ligue 1, multiple times, but I mean, that's kind of like a given there. I mean, let's be honest. But really never got his fair share, or at Arsenal, and so I kind of feel bad for him, the way that things were left, and how he was sacked. But this will be interesting to see how he goes up against his old team. So essentially, you've got Unai Emery going up against his old Arsenal squad. That'll be an interesting one to play out. I mean, I think honestly, like Unai Emery is actually a very good coach, a very good man manager. He's done a phenomenal job with Villarreal. I mean, Villarreal is kind of a mid-table squad, when he took over. Currently, they're in 7th place, fighting for Europa League. I mean, honestly, they have done a phenomenal job again with their amount of assets, and their squad depth. I mean, he really has done remarkable things with them this year. And I think honestly, if they secure Europa League again for next season, he will have achieved quite a bit. The fact that they've reached the semifinal of the Europa League already is quite an achievement. But I think if they maintain and get into Europa League for next season, will be an achievement in and of itself. So kudos to Unai Emery for doing a great job with this particular Villarreal squad, a smaller club with a lot of history, mind you, but with very limited resources currently. So it'll be interesting to see how Unai Emery stacks up against his old Arsenal squad. That said, I want to give a little shout out to Bukayo Saka from Arsenal. To me, he's been one of their players of the season. He's literally is just a little phenom. I mean, I want to say he's 20, maybe 21, young kid. Actually, I think he's 20. Young kid, just has shot up, rising star this season especially. Last season was kind of like a little breakout season. This season, he's just moved from forward in so many different ways. Incredible player. Very excited to see him. He will be an interesting player to watch, especially during these matches. Especially also if Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is out injured, or not injured. I think right now he has malaria actually, which is terrible. And I wish him well and hope that he recovers. But he's also been injured as well this season, so. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in that kind of left wing back role, because he's done a great job this season, and I really just love seeing a lot of these rising stars. Saka, excuse me, can't speak. Sako at Arsenal. Phil Foden at Man City. Mbappe, who's 22 but has literally lit up the world. Champions League and Ligue 1 for years. I mean, Erling Haaland, who City went up against in the last round. I mean, there's so many rising stars that are incredible to watch that I'm excited to talk about, hopefully in future live chats or just, videos that we do here on One Man's Perspective. All in all, in this matchup, I'm going to have to say, though, I'm giving it to... It's a tough one, but I'm going to go with Arsenal. I think it's actually going to be an all-English final. Don't know who I'm going with in the final. We'll come back when we get to that point. But right now I'm going with Manchester United versus Arsenal of the Europa League, which will be a cracking game. I will tell you that. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's going to be fun watching both the Champions League and the Europa League at the end of this month, beginning of next month. I think we have a lot of cracking games coming ahead of us. But again, my predictions: I got Man City versus Real Madrid in the final. I've got of the Champions League. I've got Manchester United versus Arsenal in the Europa League final. We'll see in a couple weeks if I am right or if I am just dead wrong. I don't know. We don't know. But it'll be fun to watch it all. Again, my name's Adam. So this is Friday Chats, beer in hand, for one man's perspective. If you like our show, feel free to subscribe, leave commentary. Would love to hear from people, hear what you all have to say, hear what you guys want to talk about. I would love to try to expand the channel, expand the commentary, expand our profile. So reach out, talk to me, and let me know what's going on. I'd love to hear from all of y'all. Again, Adam, one man's perspective. Thanks for listening. We will talk to you again soon, okay? Have a great night, everybody. Happy Friday. 26 minutes. Not bad. I ended it.
And you had must